perps are going to come to Canton, 100,000%. Someone will do it.
You, right?
It's just,
When you come onto a network like Canton, you're removing 90% of the attack surface just on the network architecture alone.
yeah, it's the internet of finance, right?
Right, I really do believe
Something is brewing.
And when you get that type of community that just, I don't even log in today, that's when you've hit escape velocity.
Yeah.
We can't just be the only two Canton content creators.
We don't do intros here, man, but pleasure to have you in front of the camera here. We made it.
Yes.
Like we were talking about doing this podcast already 2 weeks ago, but it's too crazy. We're here in Paris right now.
Yes.
Proof of pitch.
And proof of talk and
Proof of talk,
proof
yeah.
of everything.
For me, it was proof of pitch was like the main thing. I was like always like, oh, I have to pitch. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that was interesting, but.
Yeah, so proof of talk in Paris, super stacked, Canton-focused event. Now it's done. Yesterday was the last day.
Yes.
How was it for you? I'm curious to hearing your perspective on this.
It was great. I look at when we met in Miami as like a little bit more like Canton focused because we went to the Canton events.
Yeah.
And
we were in our little subculture, little bubble.
Yeah, the whole clique was there, like the Canton team, us, the projects. It was just great having everyone together like that. This was a little different. Like they had a Canton track where, you know, I spoke a few times with a couple other projects, but it wasn't like dedicated, you know, Canton events.
It wasn't organized by Canton. Like
no,
there was no like. Were there a lot of people from the Canton team, like foundation? Not that many.
I think yes, there was someone there from Jorgen from the Canton Foundation was there, and he's great. He's large. He's very big. He's got to be like 6'9", and 300 pounds.
We met him at the dinner. It was so interesting. There's this huge guy.
Yes,
like huge guy. And then it was Ulten talking and you. And we were like, I've never seen him before.
I went up to him and I'm like, I said to him, I was like, man, I wouldn't want to come across you like at night in a dark alley. Coming from the shadows. He's like, I understand. And I'm like,
proper French guy. Was like, I've never seen him. You've also never seen him, right? Like we were like,
no, I've never met him personally.
Are you like new to this Canton stuff? And he's like, I'm the chairman of the foundation, right?
Yeah, so he's like, with Euroclear, right? So I mean, the foundation's kind of like supplementary to that. So I think that that's kind of maybe why I missed him a few times. But this was great because like it had a Canton focused track. But what I noticed, and I don't know if you went through this, but it was overwhelming.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
the interest in Canton was just unbelievable. Like family offices, you know, institutions.
I've never seen this many suits at a crypto conference. Never.
Yeah, it was. I mean, projects especially looking to get involved in the ecosystem. You know, launch pads. Like I saw Maddie from Legion, and I was like,
exactly.
Come on over, and he's like, Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that plays out. I think that would be perfect. I mean, they're a permission platform anyway. So it's just, you know, me kind of being that connective tissue, helping other projects matriculate. And, you know, I met a ton of family offices and even institutions that are just so interested but didn't understand it 100%.
I mean, it's hard to understand it, right? Like even I feel like I went for lunch today with Merkel and Ledger.
Oh,
and
nice. Like they're coming over too.
They're coming over too.
Merkel's
like everyone is looking at it, but I feel like from my personal experience, everything that I learned about crypto and how it works, like some technical nuances, technical details, you have to forget everything that you learned and adopt a completely new way of thinking when you are trying to build on Canton, which can be very tricky for a lot of people.
Right.
But I think it's worth it, right? From the conversation we're seeing here, the alpha that we got here from like who on the like top is like looking at deploying pilots, deploying products on Canton, right? From like the backbone of finance. Like I think here is the place, it's the place to be, right?
Yeah,
it's where finance comes on chain.
Yeah, and I think there's the family office presence was very, very obvious because I think Canton has created this environment where family offices want to be in that institutional purview, right? They want to build where the central nervous system of finance is being reinvented, right? This is very early, and Dan from Temple talks about this a lot. When we just chit chat, he's like, "Look, we're early. Everything's early, like
super early.
Any of these growing pains, I akin it to people complaining about Rust when Solana launched, like, it's hard to build on, and it's hard, it's expensive to stand up, and I don't see this happening. And then
it was the same with Solidity, like in 2020 when everyone wanted to build on it.
Yeah, and that's modular, right? So that's so much easier and so much more focused. Like it's meant to be forked, right? Where this is more specialized. But I think we're going to go through the same cycle 100%. Where these DAML builders are just going to get more and more acclimated. More and more tools are going to come out to streamline the process, right? Because it's a configurable language at the contract level. So you have all these conditions that can be configured into the contract, but you may not need that type of customization and configuration. So having like a general, schematic to launch quicker and standards.
It's got that's the thing. Like I remember a couple of weeks ago, we wanted to build a feature. I don't remember what exactly it was. It was something mega simple, like staking or locking, or I don't remember what it was. And we were speaking to this one wallet. I was multi-sig. Multi-sig. Okay. And we wanted to have like multi-party signer thing, right? And then we were like, okay, we want to build this multi-sig thing. We need multi-sig functionality in the wallet that we work with. And they're like, there is no standard for multi-sig. So it's like, people don't want to risk doing it, and then there is going to be a standard in a couple months, and then they have to do it again, right? So it's a little paradoxical. We're mega early, like really, really, really early, but at the same time, this has been cooking for 10 plus years, right? Like digital assets. This is something that a lot of people don't understand. Is the one of the founding members of Canton. They have been working on this DAML language on pilot projects with all these big institutions for the past 10 years. So for people, also for me, honestly speaking, it looked like Canton is like an overnight success. Like they just fucking spawned on CoinMarketCap on the top 15. I'm like, who are they, right? And if you speak to a lot of people in traditional crypto, right, the crypto bros, the guys that are like doing all sorts of stuff, they don't know about it, right? But it has had a long way coming. They had to go through a lot of ups and downs. I think that it's a very, very interesting product.
And the architecture always matures over time. The tools that become available to streamline, they evolve as builders grow into them. On this topic, I was just talking to Bernard, who's the CPO of Digital Asset, and I said, we need a vault standard, right? Like your Ethereum, what is it, 4673 vault standard? I think that's it, don't quote me.
4626.
4626, excuse me. And he's like, can you build it? I said, I already built the vaults. He said, well, let's dig into it. Maybe we can get a standard together. That's a that's a perfect example of what you're talking about, right? We grow into a standard, and it happens by everyone just kind of like innovating together. But it's just a testament to, yes, we're early. But the language is an absolute tank. Like you can do more in DAML that you can do almost in any other language, right? But you have to stop focusing on what was and start focusing on what will be. Right. So
I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because we mentioned this before. Like we both believe that the future of finance is going to run on Canton. Now it's not happening yet. It's not happening yet, and there is a few other projects and a few other companies, coins, putting on that hat. Right. They're saying. Institutional finance will run on us. For example, Ripple. That's what the whole Ripple community is like. Fine, it's going to run on us. Look at all the partnerships we have. It's like a little similar to Canton, right? With the partnerships and things, but also very, very different. So I'm curious to hearing your thoughts on, there is this race going on right now, right? Everyone is like, people now start to figure out what the DTCC is. I'm seeing it a lot more than like a year ago. What are the catalysts? What are the integrations, the products, the partnerships that will decide who wins this race?
I think who will win will be the chain that the actual institutional workflow is beholden of. So Ripple's a great company, but the success of Ripple is not tethered to XRP success. The payment processing business that they do have, it's not utilizing the XRP blockchain for its actual processing and settlement. Because I think it's antiquated in a sense where Ethereum can't do a lot of the things that institutions need, the same way with XRPL. And I think, who knows, maybe they'll migrate into something new. But for me, it's going to be the chain that can handle institutional workflow at scale. And I'm not talking about single issuer, single asset class securities like BlackRock Build, right? So you have Ethereum ERC 3643, right? The securitized product, BlackRock Build. That's a good spot for Ethereum because it's not a workflow, high velocity type of transaction. You know, an institution can tokenize a security, keep it on a private blockchain, and if RWAs and other applications like Aave Horizon and they want to rehypothecate, there's options there for them. But it's not designed for workflow, and that's the real asymmetric opportunity because we're talking about trillions, quadrillions of dollars.
We had this yesterday with Hesland.
And that's the real opportunity. And
but now, what does this mean? Like I hear your words, understand, but like, when do we know that this actually happened? When do we know who wins, right? For like a normal crypto person, a normal investor who's like, I want to bet on this, right? Like meme coins are dead. There is no magic pictures I can buy anymore. Altcoins, I don't know. Like I want to invest in something that will host the future of finance, where institutions are going to trade. Now there are multiple things. You have Ethereum, you have Avalanche, you have Stellar Lumens came out of their hole, right, out of their cave. Like we're here, so we still exist, right? Like they closed a super huge deal. It doesn't really convert into a lot of like actual like revenue and volume for the token, but there are multiple horses in this race right now. What announcement specifically do you think is going to determine who actually, takes this?
Well, when I say institutional settlement and workflow, I'm talking about repo transactions, borrow securities, pay in cash, and pay a small spread. That is the plumbing of finance. I mean, this is multiple trillions of dollars every single day. When we can bring that type of velocity on chain, end to end, then we really have, that's the major unlock. And in my opinion, knowing what I know from the architectural side, the code side, and the relationship side, I think that Canton is the only language that can do this end to end right now. It's a fact, So essentially, a bank has thousands of counterparties, dude. Thousands, custodians, settlement banks, IPAs, accounting firms, legal arms. There's so much infrastructure lift that's required. And in consortium-based models, you're never going to get every single institution to adhere to one rule book. It doesn't work that way.
So that's why I'm asking, like, because what's going to happen probably is that there is someone important enough that will be like, okay, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll take that leap of faith and actually process what you just mentioned on this network, like whichever it's going to be, and then others are going to move as well, right? One entity will be that much more efficient and will have that much more value that they can deliver to others because of the efficiency that they get from doing it on chain, and then others will be like, okay, we have to move as well.
And that's my entire project's thesis, right? I think it's going to be the company that can steward adoption with low friction, right? Because banks move like molasses, right? They move slowly. So if
they don't want to take risks.
No. So if you build a solution that's neutral, low lift, and quicker adoption cycle, more or less, I think that's going to be the winner, not only from the project but the chain perspective, because you have to step into adoption. You can't just expect a massive wide facelift across finance at once. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with institutions, you're dealing with many different counterparties. And if the chain gets broken somewhere along the line, I ran a repo desk for BNP Paribas for 5 years. I've done the settlement, I've done the reconciliation, and I know what risk committee demands are like, and trying to deal with intraday liquidity drag, this is a multiple $100 billion problem because you're not getting the cash when you need it. So an operator issuer can't pay payroll, right? It's supposed to be T+0 same day. But if you're waiting 10 hours into the next day, that has real cost. Every minute of that capital being settled is cost.
Yeah, you have to pay SOFR rate on it.
Of course, yeah, and there's other bottlenecks as well, right? So that's the problem that we're addressing and that Canton was built for.
Yeah.
So you streamline that settlement with low lift and quick velocity as far as being able to adopt with the real pain points addressed, and then work into the end-to-end infrastructure. Because when you're asking a bank or an institution to overhaul their entire console system or add a supplementary system, that's like boiling the ocean.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, look at the data. If you look at ATM, ACH, DTCC, Bloomberg, Oracle, SAP, all of them took over 10 years for mass adoption. Right?
So I'm curious now, because there is two ways I'm seeing this play out. Number one is people like you and me building products that institutions are going to need, right?
Sure.
That they will use.
Yeah.
And option number two is they do it themselves. It might be on Canton, right? Could be somewhere else, right? Well, how do you see this? How important do you see the role of us as builders, right? Do we have to pave the way for these institutions to come, or are they going to work on their own little systems?
Well, it's a complicated problem, because if you're an institution and you're issuing an instrument, a token, that serves your clients on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
What about all of the other institutions that aren't on your balance sheet, that aren't your clients? What if BNY and State Street are doing a commercial paper or a repo or whatever type of securities transaction, and they don't want JP Morgan in the middle of that? From a risk committee perspective, what do?
Yeah.
Right? So if everyone launches their own token, that's a fragmented issue, right? And again, you have different risk thresholds and different cultures and different systems. And I think the institutional tokens work in a closed infrastructure, like for your clients. But what does everyone else do? And Canton wins no matter what, because if Canton's the architectural back end and the spine of that system.
And kind of neutral.
Well, not neutral, but addressing what these institutions don't need to do themselves, right? So if they can get an infrastructure and a blockchain that has atomic settlement, deterministic finality, and sub-transaction privacy at the contract level, right? Can they build that? Do they want to chop that wood? I don't know, right? So,
and even if they do, if JP Morgan does something like this, there's going to be institutions that don't want to give all the power to JP Morgan, right?
Well, none of those companies I just named, DTCC, Bloomberg, SAP, Oracle, ATM, ACH, Swift, they have one thing in common. They're all neutral. Okay? They're neutral settlement or processing infrastructure, right? The DTCC is a settlement. That's a settlement infrastructure, clearinghouse, right? So
they're like owned by a bunch of people have equity in it, but everyone has.
Well, obviously everyone can own anything they want, but it doesn't make the company itself not neutral by the law, legally, right? I mean, because that's the good thing about institutions, right? They're heavily scrutinized. Like, you can have someone on your cap table. That's like saying Canton is controlled by Goldman Sachs and the DTCC because they're on their cap table. That's not true, right? So essentially, that's not like the best beacon for neutrality. I think it's the posture that they take from a public and global regulatory perspective, rather than an institutional issued asset, right? So the neutrality, Canton does have that, right? Because they're not beholden to any particular rule book, but they can address this pain point. And settlement is the upside. Settlement is the opportunity, because equities, Canton can already do that. Securities, they can do all of that, right? But it's getting the capital and the assets in motion, right? Reinventing, like you said, the global financial network. And that is what Canton is. Canton is big picture, right? This is a company that has been building for 10 years, right? They are long view minded. They understand what needs to be addressed, and they've had the privilege of, frankly, a lot of other institutional chains that didn't work, right? And it's not necessarily a dig at the institutional chains. It was really early, you know?
It was,
it was really early. And
we have to go through these booms and busts, right? I can imagine like being DA and like starting in like 2016, then there was like this first ICO bubble. Everyone wants to know stuff about crypto and blockchain. Then 2018, it's like, okay, no, we don't want to know anything about it. Like leave us. Then in 2020, 2021, everyone is like excited again, right? It's like, that's a long way, right? You have to go through these steps, right? And we have to figure out, you have to fail a lot of times until you get it right.
You know, there's first mover advantage, but there's also first mover disadvantage.
100%.
You know, everyone gets to learn, has the privilege to learn from your mistakes and the variables that you did not account for. Right? And that's just the nature of innovation, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm curious to seeing the role that the builders that have been building on-chain for the past 10 years will have on Canton, right? The Uniswaps, the Aves, the Merkles, right? I mean, we see this company Zenith that is like bringing EVM to Canton, but at the same time, the conversation that I'm having is like, these people are also like looking to build really like natively on Canton. I think that's where the real value lies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to understanding who you're servicing and what you want to build, because people are confused in a state that they think that Canton is private by default. You can have an open ledger, right? You can decide at the protocol level, not the global state, not the synchronizer state, but you can decide at the protocol level, well, I want to have an open ledger, right? I want to do that. So you really can have the same experience, but whatever's not your business, you will not see, right? Just because you're building a protocol with an open ledger does not mean you have the privilege and the right to see Goldman Sachs's transactions and settlement, right? And that's a big part of the problem in global state DeFi and these networks as a whole, is just the endless eavesdropping, the endless attack surfaces, right? So I think it's about doing it at the protocol level is the best way to address it. So look, if you are a DEX and you want to have that type of environment, there's nothing stopping you, right? So it's a programmable language. So if you
are there already some like fully open ledger products built on Canton?
I don't know if there's fully open ledger yet. I know that there's several coming. I can tell you that much. Yeah, absolutely. There's DEXs that are institutional grade. Like you look at Temple, right? They're going to be. It's going to be an institutional gated type of product, right? So you have a KYC, KYB process, but then you have OneSwap coming, and they're going to be like your regular old DEX, without the private ledger. So I think that there's going to be a little something for everyone, right? You're doing a perp DEX, right? And I'm really interested to see this because I, not to flex or anything, but I was a very frequent hyperliquid trader for a while, and I've been headhunted, dude. And we've talked about this. And to have the full circle of privacy where the user is shielded and the transactions are shielded, well, now you got something really cool.
This was so funny when you told me about this, about your story.
My God. Yes. So I took a long position with too much size, to be quite honest with you. I just liked the way the chart looked. I looked at the profile and everything looked good. So I took a position and I got completely like one candle liquidated. It happened one time. It wasn't like a crazy, I wasn't in with like a tremendous amount of size, but I took a decent position and I got liquidated. And then I found out that the team headhunted me. They liquidated me. And I'm just like, You're an $800 million project and you liquidated me?
I mean, it probably was the market maker just being like, okay,
Yeah,
there's a couple bucks to be made here.
Probably.
Like, let's get this guy.
But to make
Let's get this guy out quickly before we send it.
I don't put it past the sketchy Web3 market maker to kill my ass mid-trade. However, I think the team probably greenlit that to a certain degree because nobody wants their chart to look like Kilimanjaro, like coming right back up. But it happened, and then I'm in several groups with other perp traders, and it's like, man, I wish this shit was private.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we've seen the biggest spectacle was James Wynn, right? It became a huge spectacle, and also recently you're seeing every single big trade on Hyperliquid becoming a public spectacle, right? You see like Whale Watcher tweeted there is a $50 million this or that on whatever asset. Right. What do they know?
Well, the thing is the what do you know crowd is way less significant than the attack crowd who has the size and liquidity to headhunt you and destroy you. Yeah. So the people that are gonna come into the trade by consensus because you came in $100 million, you're not gonna benefit as much from that with an environment like Bitcoin or ETH than you will be from, you know, deep state actors who wanna just trash you, okay? So that's my experience. But I can tell you no reasonable whale with size wants to be headhunt or really wants their position known like that.
And it's for institutions, it's illegal, right? It's illegal for hedge funds to show their liquidation prices, to have their positions fully public. Otherwise, imagine what happened to GameStop was super interesting to see.
That was more social.
Yeah, it was. But having these huge positions always being fully transparent, right? That leads to this kind of stuff, right? The speculation. And our thesis is that the next wave of traders for perpetuals, because perpetuals is a crypto instrument, right? Arthur Hayes pioneered this really with BitMEX, right? They really got this movement started.
Not leverage, but leverage.
No, not leverage, but perpetual futures, right?
Sure.
I mean, futures are they mature at some point. You have all different interest rates, right? And perpetuals, they're perpetual. Like you open your trade, and when you want to close, you close it, right? Sure. So we believe that this UX, and I'm curious to hearing your thoughts on this. Like I spoke to someone, he built a, what was it again? Like a fintech, like a neobank, right? But for institutions, it was a fintech for institutions to trade, right? And I asked him, why didn't TradFi come up with, why are people not trading perps in TradFi?
Well, I don't know exactly. I mean, like open interest as far as TradFi is concerned, like the leverage and futures infrastructure in TradFi has been like really well established. Yeah. It runs completely different. I mean, you can trade with leverage, but you know, there's clearinghouses and there's exchanges with insurance, and here's the thing with Hyperliquid, you can't go into debt. All right. So if there is a cascade event like on 1010, you just get auto liquidated and you don't make any of the profit even if the trade was right because too many people on the other side got liquidated. So even when you bet right, I think it's called the ADL or whatever it's called, ADL, I forget the acronym, but that happened to me too. If there's not enough liquidity on the other side of the book, you just don't get your profit. Yeah. That doesn't happen in TradFi. If the trader's rights are always respected in TradFi no matter what. So if the exchange has to pay or their insurance has to pay, the clearinghouse, whatever, you get paid no matter what on both sides of the trade. Yeah. Whereas, yes, you're getting decentralization. Yes, you're getting like insane.
No, but the instrument perpetual futures, that's not being traded by institutions right now.
Well, I mean, institutions do play around in Hyperliquid, but I don't think that it's the kind of, GSIBs that we were talking about. I'm talking more, hedge funds are definitely in Hyperliquid, but I mean, as far as a similar platform, I don't know of any. I've never seen it. What the constraint would be.
Yeah, why does the instrument not exist in TradFi?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I mean, it could be, how do you trade? The infrastructure is not built for 24/7, right? So TradFi doesn't really run on 24/7, right? So I'm not really sure if that has something to do with it, but like the actual mechanisms and the actual funding, that could have something to do with it, but I'd like to know too. I think that's a great question.
Yeah, so the thought process is perpetual futures seem to have a lot better UX, right? No rollover, no maturity, you just open your trade, you know what you're gonna get. Funding rates is a little different, right? But you always know what you're paying, what's happening. And when you want to get out of the trade, you just close it again.
Right.
So perpetuals seem to be much better suited for trading, right? It is the preferred way of how people trade in crypto. Institutions can't really, they do play around with hyperliquid, but they can't really do it with big size.
No.
So you need a private environment where this can happen. Like, perps are going to come to Canton, 100,000%. Someone will do it. Someone will do it.
You,
it's
right?
Just,
I mean, like that's what I'm hearing. So let's go.
Exactly.
But I mean, look, when you trade, you're making trades in TradFi. This is a heavily regulated space, right?
Yeah.
You can't just deposit $100 million in shadow money, and essentially, that's kind of the lure of Hyperliquid as well, right? We're talking about a non-KYC'd Wild West platform, right? And it sucks for whales because you either go in with the 100 million or you fragment it across 20 wallets. And no one has enough eyes and consoles to see all those positions at once, which sucks. So you get headhunted because it's open.
And you can still trace it somehow, there are tools.
Who has time for all that if you're a trader, right? So you can't be like a good blockchain forensics guy and a trader. But the point is TradFi just doesn't trade like that, dude. So like you're talking about, your trades are cleared and they're monitored. Okay. So Stockwatch, they monitor what you do, right? If you insider trade, you will go to jail. Right. So essentially, and then people like to argue, like, oh, what about Trump's doing, right? Like we don't know. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, right? This is today, it may not be 2 years from now. So obviously we don't know if it's the family or whatever on Hyperliquid. That's like, if it's on Hyperliquid, how can it really?
Of course.
So I think TradFi has to move in that posture because it also affects all of its corresponding like compliance stature, its optics within regulators. So if they were to go onto a platform that's a little questionable, that affects the nucleus of the institution.
And I mean, besides the privacy, I think what's going to be super interesting to see is that Canton seems to be the place where people are launching securities, right? They're like issuing different products on it. And one of the main backbones of finance is collateralization, right? Using stuff as collateral to do other things, right?
Rehypothecate.
Yeah, exactly. And I think being a perp dex on Canton and building towards being able to accept different assets that you cannot use on any other either CEX or perp dex, right, as collateral to do trades. I think that's one of the other major advantages of doing this on Canton.
And what's great is you have all the compliance that you need natively on Canton. And people don't understand that. That's why like our compliance partner is Texture Capital. Richard is an absolute MVP. He can help fast track you on the compliance side, whether it be broker dealer, transfer agent, ATS. Getting these licenses on your own is hard, bro. Like, it's not easy. Like, they issue 3 ATSs a year sometimes. And we're talking about multiple millions of dollars. Like, I'm talking $3 to $5 million for this type of stuff. And Richard is there to help builders and help projects get into that institutional framework, right? So you don't have to worry about that bottleneck and trying to adopt it yourself. And maybe your project blows up to the point where you can do that, right? But to get launched with low friction, right? These options are available to you. And like, this is the great thing about Canton. So like, goes back to my role. I need to make sure people know that Richard and Texture exist. I need to make sure that you know that Squid router's coming on Canton and that Merkle is there because you need to drive liquidity because I understand your thesis, right? You have a retail thesis, and I think that's great because we need it. We need it.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what anyone says. Like you need network stimulation,
Yeah.
right? And I think you need to grow throughout the network, and you need coordination and retail liquidity and volume is important in that scenario.
I mean, all of crypto has been running on it for ever.
It's not the whole piece of the puzzle, and it's not beholden to Canton's success. But I mean, wouldn't you want to be the universal chain that can handle the retail aspect of this, making you a liquidity, a full circle global liquidity hub where you can facilitate institutional, you can facilitate retail, which it can do. So I think that it being the everywhere chain and it's customizable is really like the North Star here. So
that's what excited me so much about DeFi. Like I wouldn't even, I'm starting now to not call it DeFi anymore. I'm starting to call it something like open finance, right? Where like everyone can
open
participate.
ledger,
yeah, exactly. Like open finance instead of decentralized finance. People can customize products, protocols, nodes, the way they want to do it. You build your institutional only stack where like bank A and bank B can talk to each other faster and send money around. That's nice. But you can also at the same time build a product that services people all over the world that don't have access to various instruments to hop on, right? Trade in a compliant ecosystem. And then you have these sub pools, you can do sub networks where you have a mix of both, right? Where these two worlds kind of collide. Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. And I think that when you come onto a network like Canton, you're removing probably 90% of the attack surface just on the network architecture alone. And you have the type of environment where you don't have endless eavesdropping or the cross contagion risk because you have the tools available to you where, yes, you can bolt on tools, right? You can bolt on ZK, you can bolt on added security, but it's more of a content level securities infrastructure. But there's always a global state that shows the size, which is problematic. It won't work for institutions. Maybe some retail guys are okay with it, but I think what Canton can do is it creates an environment that builders want to build on, right? I think we're just early and we need to continue to grow and create these standards and tools like you were talking about. But I think this is the perfect place for retail because we're tired, man. You know, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm tired. Like I'm tired. I've been rugged an unquantifiable amount of times. I have been hacked. I have been bamboozled. I have lost money, and I just there needs to be a wake up call. Like this is the wake up call. Like how long can we go on like this? You know, like it's just you cannot sit there and tell me this is working. Like it's been great for certain things, but with AI and the acceleration that we're seeing in the hacks, we may have hit like crossed the Rubicon. I don't know, but
I think we just got started with it. Honestly,
oh God,
I really think we just got started. Like it's very unfortunately, but
I know.
I feel like DeFi has been like open beta testing for the past 5-6 years since it really exists, and now we can use a bunch of these concepts, a bunch of these. Concepts that were established were battle tested because there were, you know it. There were some good experiments in DeFi, and there were some that were like highly questionable and not so good. And you have to go through this phase, right? And we've gone through it. We've been the lab rats, right, testing it out.
And although I never believed Time Wonderland's 800 million APY percentage, if you believed it, then I feel sorry for you, sir. I never believed it. I just thought it was fun. I just wanted to have fun. That's the honest truth.
And it was fun. It was good times.
It was more about having fun.
That was the prime time to have fun in crypto, for me at least.
I never entered those protocols with my mortgage money. I went in to have fun, right? And that's important in crypto
and
too.
click the claim button every other hour.
Oh my God, yes.
So
Honestly,
good.
It was fun.
I had my little spreadsheets.
Oh, of course.
It was good.
Yeah, going on the content creators like, oh my God, I'm going to be a trillionaire.
Those were good times.
I never bought it, but it was still fun.
It was.
So the thing is I talk about retail, and I was saying this to Alton from Hecto about his first project. I was like, the first product that they're rolling out, I said, this is fun.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah,
like
cool.
this prediction, like I guess you predict on private stocks, right? Whether they're going to go up or down.
Exactly, yeah.
I was like, you're hitting product market fit that is essential for Web3.
Yeah.
Fun, right? We got into this because obviously we wanted to make money, but we also loved it because it was fun.
Yeah.
And I think like we need more of that, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a void you're going to fill. And I think that that's important. So I'm really excited for you.
Awesome. Last question would be, where do you see Canton in the next 5 years?
I see Canton in the next 5 years being the new standard in Web3. I think that Canton is easily going to change the way we think about the blockchain.
Is it going to flip Ethereum?
Well, obviously Ethereum has a lot of questions right now. I mean, I think Ethereum was in its sense, and look, I will always stay loyal to Ethereum in some degree. If it wasn't for Ethereum, I would not be sitting here, and probably not you either, okay? So I always put a little bit of respect on Ethereum's
100%.
name. Always do.
100%.
And I always want it to succeed in some way, shape, or form. But the problem with Ethereum is the fact that I believe it was not built to be an enterprise organization. I feel like it was built on principles and ideals by a group of misfits who never thought they were going to be as big as they were, which made it really cool. And unfortunately, when you have a business that is not built with profit and scale and enterprise in mind, the ability to innovate goes in the same bucket, essentially. So unfortunately, they weren't thinking about how they could profit from every single one of those L2s. That's not the way they think. They would think, let's change the world, right? We don't care if we make money. Whereas you got like Solana, it's like, where can we win? Like, where can we make money? But you need that. Because you have the ability to be nimble and innovate and scale goes tandem with that. So Canton is very much so enterprise minded, which I think that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, because I think that Canton essentially will change the success metrics of crypto as a whole. Because even my own project, right, our stable coin, we have yield vehicles that will be measured in TVL, but when you're talking about settlement workflow, you're talking about minting and burning and transaction volume, right? You're talking about that kind of stimulation, and that's not measured in how much supply you have, right? So not only do I think Canton is going to be a major contender in the next 5 years, but I think it has the potential to change the way we think about finance forever, because it's built to replace that central nervous system.
It's the internet of finance, right?
Right. And it doesn't matter who was first, man. I mean, do you remember the first basketball player? Do you remember? It doesn't matter. Like, I'm
too short for basketball. I don't watch that stuff.
Soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's about who did it best at the end of the day. I think that Canton hit the nail on the head 100%, right?
Awesome.
So excited, really excited. I got everything in it, man. I've got my company in it and my face, which is the most valuable thing that we have, right? 100%. So I'm very much so tribal, and I'm going down with the ship.
I love it.
And that's the way I live. I don't do anything a little bit. I go all the way.
You have to go all in on everything. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
We're entrepreneurs, I guess, and I really do believe. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that's why it resonates. Because
And I've not seen this kind of tribalism for a long time in crypto, actually. Like, I feel like in the past couple of years, there wasn't. I mean, there was. Solana had its thing.
It still is.
And still has.
Still is.
But I feel like right now, things like Canton, like even it's kind of random now, but like BitTensor as well. Like, there's this little something is brewing. It's
XRP.
Exciting.
Extremely tribal. Like, it's not a message that Canton is going to endorse, obviously. But me, I can say it all day, because obviously I'm unofficial, right? So I think it's important. I think you need to create a community, and you need people that are like just absolutely fanatical. Right? They don't look at the price anymore. And when you get that type of community that just, I don't even log in today, like, that's when you've hit escape velocity. And that's what you need, right? So obviously Canton or Solana is not gonna, any network, right? A foundation or network is not gonna endorse that type of message. But the culture of tribalism is very much so important to growing community in Web3. And I'm not talking about battling other ecosystems or like eating yourself from the inside. No wars, none of that stuff. But just belief, dude. You know, real belief. And that's what I'm trying to invoke, right? I'm trying to get more people like yourself. We can't just be the only two Canton content creators. Like, come on, guys.
We won't.
You know, I think, look, we're just early, you know? So.
Awesome. Any last things you want to shill?
No.
You want people to look at?
No shilling, sir.
We'll link all the links anyways. We'll link your profile.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll link everything.
I'm here for you, bud. I'm not here for me. So I wasn't trying to high sign here. I was trying to come in and support my fellow Canton builder.
I appreciate it.
Who's a super cool dude. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming, man. Amazing. Thank you, guys. Ciao, ciao.
See ya.